Welcome back to the broadcast dedicated to dissecting the classified documents that reveal how intelligence agencies seek to exploit the hidden internal capabilities of the human organism itself. Today we abandon external technology, no ELF waves, no satellites, no genetic engineering, and confront the possibility of bioenergetic warfare. We address the chilling fact that U.S. intelligence explored scientifically validating and weaponizing the human body's capacity to influence reality through directed, non-conventional energy. We are analyzing the CIA's involvement in remote influence and quantifiable energy projection, treating human consciousness not as a vulnerable asset but as a broadcast device. Our primary evidence is the declassified file CIA-RDP86-00049R000100020007-8. This complex report is titled, quote, Quantifiable Energy Projection and Non-Contact Alteration of Biological Systems, end quote. It confirms that analytical and laboratory resources were tasked with evaluating the scientific challenges of isolating and measuring the energy signature associated with directed human intent. The context here is the ultimate low signature operational asset, an agent capable of influencing a target's decision, including acute stress or even disrupting biological function from a distance, all without leaving a trace of electronic or physical evidence. This is the human weapon. The file's existence confirms that phenomenon often dismissed as fringe or spiritual were taken seriously enough to investigate for strategic potential given the zero trace capability they offered. The analysis focuses on two primary areas: energy signature measurement to prove the effect exists, and biological thresholds for determining effective operational range and impact. Let's drill down into the clinical details of the research challenges documented in this file. The analysts demanded hard data to confirm the non-contact transmission of energy. The file required an intense focus on energy signature measurement. This involves using highly sensitive detectors, often involving modified superconducting quantum interference devices, or SQUIDs, to measure minute low-frequency magnetic or scalar fields generated by individuals engaged in focused, directed mental effort. The goal was to prove the human body could generate a measurable directed energy output that was distinct from known electromagnetic or thermal emissions. The document includes technical specifications for establishing shielded environments and baseline measurements, ensuring that all observed effects were isolated from external conventional interference. The experiments centered on confirming that the intent of the operator could be correlated with the verifiable physical change in a remote system. Now we must examine the primary finding, the confirmation that an effect was observed. This is a critical excerpt regarding the confirmation of measurable influence. Quote, experimental verification confirms the statistically significant directional energy transmission associated with directed human intent, capable of non-contact alteration of simple chemical reaction rates and localized disruptions of biological system rhythmicity. End quote. Quote number 2, this is from a section discussing the application. Targeted applications include the remote induction of acute psychological stress, transient cardiac anomalies, and the influence of subjective decision-making in targeted personnel, leaving no physical evidence of external engagement. End quote. This is the true meaning of the file. It states that human intention, often called will or focus, can be weaponized into a quantifiable directional energy field. The agency saw an opportunity to utilize the inherent capabilities of the human mind as a form of non-lethal, untraceable weapon system. The focus shifted from can we convince them to can we influence their internal rhythm. We now address the chilling operational implications of this file in covert action. The most extensive redactions occur in the section titled Operator Selection Criteria and Training Protocols, as well as Field Deployment Scenarios. This suggests detailed discussions around the specific psychological and physiological profiles required to maximize this ability and the methods used to train individuals in projecting quantifiable energy. Why redact training protocols? Because these methodologies represent the blueprint for cultivating a new type of agent, one that relies entirely on intrinsic, non-technological capability. Revealing the training method would expose the path to replicating this zero-signature capability. The concept discussed is the creation of a human remote trigger. The operator, positioned miles away, focuses intent to disrupt a target's equilibrium during a critical moment, perhaps inducing momentary disorientation in a pilot or acute anxiety in a negotiator. The file details the categorization of individuals based on their measurable output, classifying them by the type and intensity of their projected energy field. This suggests a rigorous system for identifying and recruiting individuals with latent high-potential bioenergetic abilities. The strategic weaponization of this research is clear. It is a zero-trace casualty weapon. A state possessing this capability can introduce chaos or failure into an adversary's system without ever being physically or electronically linked to the event. The resulting action, a crash, a sudden medical event, a disastrous decision, is easily dismissed as a random incident or failure of fate. We conclude our analysis of this document. The existence and scope of research confirm that U.S. intelligence treated the scientific isolation and projection of bioenergetic influence as an actionable, high-priority strategic objective. Again, if you missed it, it's been verified. This actually worked. The implication is that analysis moved into the sphere of applied consciousness studies, seeking to harness the deepest, most subjective aspects of human existence for intelligence gain. This research represents the blurring of science, psychology, and warfare. If this documented truth has opened your mind to the non-conventional boundaries explored by those in power, we require your continued support. First, like this episode and leave us a detailed 5-star review wherever you listen. This is how the analysis cuts through the static of conventional thought. Second, share this episode with someone obsessed with human potential, consciousness, or fringe physics. We need more sharp minds analyzing these documented facts. Next, we move from the internal subjective energy of the human mind to the objective unyielding complexity of advanced mathematics and predictive modeling. We will analyze the CIA's classified research into external dynamics and forecasting, the agency's attempt to model and predict highly unlikely catastrophic black swan events using nonlinear, non-conventional mathematics. For next week's investigation, we will dissect the analysis within document CIA-RDP93-000-0003000-50013-1, a complex file concerning the predictability of catastrophe and hidden variables in global systems. What specific obscure mathematical models, often dismissed in academia, did the analysts use to find hidden patterns in apparent chaos? What were the measured limits of predicting sudden economic collapse, global pandemic, or rapid climate shifts? And how did they attempt to weaponize the knowledge of a predictable catastrophe against an adversary? Tune in next for Project Remote View, Predicting Catastrophe, and the External Model. Until then, remember, maintain your vigilance, question the limits of your own influence, and keep your critical thinking sharp. I'll see you in the archives.